when you consider pay-per-view sales, when you consider the money that you've made, when you consider how you can give lessons on how to make money outside of your profession, marketing your profession. There's nobody that would even challenge you on that.
And if you in the NFT world and you betting on me, you will never lose. But what I need you to do right now, go get Mayweather. That's my new NFT. I've been working on that for months. If I win, you win.
All right, listen up. Because Stephen A. Smith has been out here stirring the pot, and this time he didn't just throw shade, he lit the whole thing on fire. He went on record and said, flat out, that Floyd Mayweather's so-called billion-dollar empire isn't what people think it is.
Money made all day. You know, right here, a light million. Over there, counting up another million over there. Walk with me, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take you into my life.
That image Floyd has carefully built over decades, the flashy persona, the endless bragging about money, the non-stop displays of wealth. According to Stephen A., it's not nearly as real as it looks. And to make it even spicier, he didn't stop with Floyd. He started dragging other celebrities right into the mix. He said names, he connected dots.
Kim Kardashian convinces 53 million people to invest in Ethereum Max. So does Floyd Mayweather. Now they're both being sued. Both of them posted on their Instagram that everybody should buy this dumb coin. Kim K got 19% of her following to invest in Ethereum Max. You guess what happened next? Yep, they dumped, and guess who got stuck holding the bag? So I'll say it again to the influencers out there. Stop promoting this crap. You haven't even seen the SEC get involved. When they do, it is going to be a bloodbath.
He basically accused Floyd and some of the biggest stars in the world of running a shiny scam disguised as a financial empire. Now you've got to understand why this cuts so deep. Floyd Mayweather has built his entire identity on being Money Mayweather. It's not just a nickname, it's his brand, his legacy, his whole persona. Think about it, the man has spent years flexing the kind of lifestyle most people can't even imagine. Private jets that cost more to fuel than some people make in a year. Fleets of exotic cars lined up like a dealership. Watches so drenched in diamonds they look like chandeliers strapped to his wrist. Even skyscrapers and mansions. His life has been one long photo op for wealth.
Floyd Mayweather Jr., okay, is putting together an offer to become a minority owner of the New York Giants, bro.
Every Instagram post, every interview, every appearance was curated to reinforce one message. Floyd is untouchable because Floyd is rich. But here's Stephen A. saying the exact opposite. He's saying it's smoke and mirrors, that the empire is fragile, that the money isn't stacked the way Floyd wants us to believe, and worst of all, that the celebrities who've partnered with him over the years may be tangled up in the mess too.
Yeah, like when we ain't know, I was like, it's our time. That might have said from this one. Somebody tries it. Yeah.
That's not just criticism, and that's a direct hit at the foundation of Floyd's image. Because if his wealth is questionable, then the whole Money Mayweather brand collapses. The scandal that really pushed this conversation back into the spotlight was that infamous $42 million real estate claim.
7 world titles in 5 divisions. Tonight, he challenges for number 8. From Grand Rapids, Michigan, former junior lightweight, world champion, former lightweight, world champion, former super lightweight, world champion.
Floyd went online in 2022, looked dead into the camera, and said he had just dropped $42 million to buy 62 rental buildings in New York City. He made it sound like he was stepping out of boxing and into mogul territory, like he was building generational wealth for the Mayweather name. Fans went wild, but this was Floyd taking his brand to the next level, not just a fighter anymore, but a businessman playing in the big leagues. But then reporters checked, and what did they find? Nothing. No buildings in his name, no transfers, no paper trail, no receipts at all, just words and bravado. That's when people stopped just looking at Floyd and started pointing fingers at the people around him. Because if Floyd was faking the real estate mogul image, what about all the other deals he bragged about? What about the partnerships with celebrities, the endorsements, the investments? Were they real?
Hey, so call it, man. What did your agents think of that video out front of UTA today?
Can I get a picture? The key is confidential.
Confidential, so, but they were obviously impressed, right?
Or were they more smoke and mirrors? And trust me, it didn't start with real estate. Floyd has been moving reckless in the celebrity space for years. Let's take it back to one of the messiest chapters, the Ethereum Max crypto fiasco. On the surface, it looked like the next big thing, a hot new coin. promising fast gains and life-changing wealth for early investors. Floyd plastered it all over his exhibition fight promos, making sure the world saw him connected to the coin. Then you had Kim Kardashian, one of the most influential women on the planet, pushing it out to her 250 million followers like it was the next must-have bag. Paul Pierce jumped on too. Suddenly, Ethereum Max wasn't just a random coin. It had A-list celebrities hyping it up, and regular people bought in by the millions. And then, boom, the coin crashed almost instantly. Investors accused Floyd, Kim, and Pierce of pulling a pump and dump scheme, hyping the coin long enough to inflate its value, then letting it collapse while insiders walked away richer. The fallout was brutal. All three were slapped with a class action lawsuit, and the headlines were merciless. This wasn't just another failed investment. It was labeled one of the boldest celebrity cash grabs of the entire decade. Now, to be fair, the lawsuit eventually got tossed. The court said there wasn't enough hard evidence of fraud. But here's the thing. By that point, the damage was already done. Kim managed to pivot, rebuilding her image with her billion-dollar Skims brand and her law school journey. Pierce slid back into sports commentary and stayed in his lane. But Floyd, his name stayed glued to the scandal. Because unlike Kim or Pierce, Floyd already had a pattern of questionable money moves. Ethereum Max didn't feel like an outlier. It felt like more proof of a bigger problem. And if you thought that was bad, Floyd's next move took things to another level. Reports surfaced earlier this year that he was teaming up with billionaire real estate mogul Mir Orbach to buy a 10% stake in the New York Giants. Let that sink in. A deal worth around $700 million. That's billionaire territory, no question about it. On paper, it sounded wild. Floyd Mayweather, minority owner of one of the biggest teams in the NFL? That's not just a flex, that's history making. But here's the catch. People don't even know where Floyd's money's really coming from. Yes, he made insane amounts during his boxing career. Nobody denies that, but a $700 million stake? That's another level. That's Jeff Bezos territory. That's not just a rich athlete move, that's billionaire mogul money. And people started asking, does Floyd really have it like that, or is this another performance, another illusion? Enter Mir Orbach. Now this guy isn't some sidekick. He's a real heavyweight in the business world with legitimate stakes in teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves. Pairing him with Floyd made sense on paper. Floyd brings global star power, Orbach brings credibility in the boardroom. But critics didn't buy it. They said it looked less like a serious business deal and more like Floyd hitching his wagon to someone with actual money and power. Because if Floyd was still tied to shaky investments like Ethereum Max, what did that mean for a Giants deal? Fans were warning. This had too good to be true written all over it. And here's the kicker. After talking about billion-dollar boardrooms, Floyd turned right back around and mixed business with pop stars. That's where the Justin Bieber era comes in. Back in the 2010s, Floyd and Bieber were inseparable. Floyd would be gearing up for a massive fight, and who was walking behind him into the ring? Not another fighter, not a hype man. Justin Bieber, one of the biggest pop stars on the planet. The optics were crazy. A crossover between boxing and pop culture that had fans buzzing. But soon, people started questioning whether this was genuine friendship or just calculated cross-promotion. Because once Floyd's controversies piled up, the lawsuits, the domestic cases, the financial drama, Bieber started quietly pulling away. Suddenly, the ride-or-die friendship looked more like a marketing play.
February 13th, the Big Meech Home benefit concert. It's gonna be iconic.
And if Bieber was the flashy pop culture link, the next celebrity Floyd aligned with was all about lifestyle branding, DJ Khaled. Now, these two weren't just hanging out for vibes. They were straight-up endorsement brothers, hyping up products, appearing together, feeding off each other's brands. To the public, it looked like two kings of their respective lanes joining forces. But behind the curtain, it was just another mess waiting to happen. Behind the glossy smiles and flashy Instagram posts, Floyd Mayweather's partnership with DJ Khaled wasn't nearly as glamorous as it looked. On the surface, it seemed like two kings of their lanes joining forces, one the most successful boxer in modern history, the other one of the loudest voices in music and lifestyle branding. They posed together, laughed together, endorsed together, but peel back the curtain and what you find is less about success and more about scandal.
Look at this way, the boy be time paid, always getting money, my nigga crime paid, I'm self-made, What? You a sucker? What's up, niggas? It's for my bro niggas.
In 2018, the SEC came knocking, and both Floyd and Khaled got slapped with charges for failing to disclose they were being paid to promote certain cryptocurrency investments. That's right. While they were out on social media and in interviews, hyping up coins like Centratech, acting as though they just believed in the product, the truth was uglier. They weren't just cheerleaders, they were cashing fat checks behind the scenes. And when the coin tanked, when the investors who trusted their word lost big, it looked like Floyd and Khaled had pocketed money at the expense of everyday folks who thought they were following the advice of successful men. And what was wild about it wasn't just the scam itself, it was how quickly both of them tried to spin the story after it blew up. Floyd came out claiming he was just sharing opportunities, that he wasn't trying to mislead anyone.
How much money could you reasonably walk out of this fight with?
350 million.
$350 million.
Yes.
Wow. I know you love money, right? I mean,
it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
Celeb, on the other hand, went silent. He disappeared from the conversation altogether, pivoting back to safer endorsements like sneakers, furniture collabs, and other brand deals that didn't risk blowing up in his face. But by then, the damage had been done. Fans weren't stupid. They had seen the pattern too many times. Because that's what it was, a pattern. Floyd's name kept showing up on the same type of shady, questionable ventures. From Ethereum Max to Centratech, from failed real estate claims to lawsuits over unpaid fighters, his empire was starting to look like it was built on sand. Every scandal chipped away at the idea of him being this untouchable financial genius. And even when he tried to redirect, even when he tried to spin, people couldn't unsee the fact that these opportunities always seemed to end with him richer and the average person poorer.
So right now, you know what, the money team. I know my man Rick right here. He chilling. He don't say much. Nice. So it's not, it's nothing like riding on the Air Mayweather. Big boy private jet. That was too much. And do best. That's 700,000. That's 700,000.
And if you thought he would have learned from Khaled, think again. Because after that partnership, Floyd linked up with Lil Wayne. Now, this wasn't about crypto or shady business deals. It was about spectacle. Floyd knew boxing wasn't just about winning fights anymore. It was about putting on a show. The entrance, the walk to the ring, the energy in the arena. It mattered almost as much as the punches. And who better to turn a fight into a concert than Weezy himself? Lil Wayne performed live at multiple Mayweather walkouts, spitting bars while Floyd strutted into the ring as though it were the Grammys.
Or is that something that you can't disclose right now?
He has not paid me in full. That is a fact.
No
Short a few mil, yeah.
Wow. Still a few mil.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Have you been in contact with him?
Nah, we're taking this one to court.
No, are you being serious? Is this like a...
Do I look serious, lady?
You do. I'm just making sure. I apologize.
Really?
I'm just...
Nah, I'm fucking with you. I'm not fucking with you. Yeah, we're taking him to court.
No way.
Yeah.
Every time Wayne appeared, it was global visibility. Millions of eyes watching one of the biggest rappers alive side by side with Floyd. For Wayne, it was publicity. For Floyd, it was reinforcement of the Money Team brand. He wasn't just a boxer, he was a cultural icon, shoulder to shoulder, with music royalty. But again, look closely and you'll see the same play. Cross-promotion dressed up as friendship, the lines between genuine loyalty and branding blurred. And if Wayne wasn't enough, you already know Floyd had to make sure he was seen with Rick Ross.
Sort of diminishes the legacy a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
And that's what I feel like's happened with Mayweather.
Why do you think he does those things, though? Do you think
for money?
I
don't think he's got the money he says. That's what I think.
You think he still needs the money?
I don't think he needs the money. But you know when you got that lifestyle, right? So when you're spending what he's spending,
it's a lot of expense.
During Ross's heated beef with 50 Cent, Floyd publicly jumped on Ross's side. He promised big money moves, hinted at helping Ross keep his clout high, and even dangled the idea of supporting Ross's ties to the legendary Black Mafia family leader Big Meech. Floyd made it sound like he was going to put Meech on financially, show loyalty, and keep his name alive while he was locked up. They even teased benefit concerts and big gestures of support. But when it came time to deliver, nothing. Meech was left high and dry, struggling in prison while Floyd and Ross kept the shine, kept the clout, and walked away with the headlines.
Floyd pulling with an opponent right now, just throwing not even jabs, just tossing that left arm out.
Once again, it was flash without follow-through, another performance, another illusion, and just when people thought Floyd might be done with messy partnerships and crypto chaos, he turned around and tried to sell himself as a billionaire real estate mogul. This right here was peak Mayweather. Because if you've been paying attention to his brand from day one, you know it has always been built around one thing: money. He literally made it his nickname, Money Mayweather. Every flex, every interview, every image he put out reinforced the idea that he was the embodiment of wealth.
Negotiation for an exhibition is a little bit different. You know, we can pick up 30, we can pick up 20, 30 million, pick up a few million, but when I'm fighting a regular fight, you know, most likely it's always a high number. You know, you guys may see 50 million or 100 million on a check. So there's a
And to be fair, in the ring, he did earn insane amounts. We're talking hundreds of millions per fight. He bragged openly that he could walk out of a single fight with $350 million in earnings. And he wasn't shy about it either. Unlike other athletes who quietly stacked their coins and built their wealth in silence, Floyd was the complete opposite. He made sure the world saw every dollar. He showed off his cars, his houses, his bags of cash stacked on tables. He put numbers in people's faces like trophies. But his biggest flex came in 2022. Floyd jumped on Instagram and announced he had just dropped $42 million to buy 62 rental buildings in New York City. He looked into the camera with the same cocky confidence he always carried and said, "All the buildings belong to me. I don't have no partners." To fans, it was insane. Floyd had leveled up again. He wasn't just a retired fighter. He was a full-on real estate mogul. He was talking about power moves and generational wealth. The internet ate it up. But here's the thing. When reporters checked, nothing lined up. NYC property records showed no such buildings in his name, no transfers worth $42 million, no evidence of the deal he bragged about. It was smoke. It was mirrors. And that's when the whispers turned into full-on conversations about whether Floyd's entire empire was fake. Take Jake Paul, for example. The man has been trolling Floyd since day one, and this scandal gave him ammo for life. Jake clowned Floyd's height, mocked his image, and went after the one thing Floyd could never ignore: his money. Jake hammered Floyd online about not paying Logan Paul millions from their 2021 exhibition fight.
When I got involved with the WWE, it was like, you and Big Show gonna have a matchup. I said, "What you mean?" He said, "Y'all can fight." I said, "What do you mean fight? Is it for fake?" They said, "No. Y'all fight for real." I'm like, I thought wrestling was fake. So when I punched him in the face, you know, I broke his nose, and I was like, oh man.
Logan went public saying Floyd still owed him, and Jake turned it into a weapon. He mocked Floyd, saying, "If you're such a billionaire, why can't you even pay my brother?" That line hit harder than any punch because it cut at Floyd's entire persona. And it wasn't just YouTubers saying it. Even respected boxing promoter Eddie Hearn admitted doubts about Floyd's wealth. He said Floyd once got so irritated by skepticism that he literally pulled out a bank statement to prove his riches. Eddie said the numbers were astronomical, but fans didn't buy it. To them, it was another Floyd performance, another stage flex. Because if the money's real, why does he always feel the need to prove it? Why not just let the numbers speak quietly? That's why so many people believe Floyd's endless exhibition fights aren't about love for the sport. They're about survival. Because once he retired from official matches, he never really stayed retired. He lined up exhibition after exhibition, fighting YouTubers, influencers, random celebrities, anyone who would sign a contract. And every time he bragged about pulling in 8-figure checks for fights that barely made him sweat. It stopped being about boxing and became about proving he could still squeeze money out of the spectacle. And it didn't even stop there. Floyd went beyond boxing and dipped into pro wrestling. He pulled off a 12-minute stunt at WrestleMania and claimed he pocketed $20 million for it. Now, maybe that's true, maybe it's another inflated flex, but either way, the question lingers. If you're really sitting on a billion-dollar empire, why keep hustling YouTubers, wrestlers, and exhibitions? Why not just let the empire speak for itself? And that's the exact point Stephen A. Smith hammered home. He's not just saying Floyd's empire is flashy, he's saying it's fragile. That it's a patchwork of lawsuits, quick hustles, shady partnerships, and endless performances that look shiny from afar but crumble when you get too close. At the end of the day, Floyd Mayweather's so-called billion-dollar empire isn't built on solid gold. It's balancing on smoke and mirrors. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video.